have some time, but first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be speaking at the club with some familiar faces on the other side. And I hope I'm able to add value to everything that you already know and some bit from my own experience at Toastmasters. So let's quickly get to the topic. How many of you know what mentoring is? Show of hands. Raise your hand if you know what mentoring is. Okay. How many of you have a mentor? Any mentor, not necessarily in Toastmasters. Yep, put your hand up a little more bravely. Okay, so I can see. Okay, that's good. All right. And how many of you are a mentor to somebody? Okay, that's pretty good. And why do you think this is important, since most of you raised your hands as well? Why do you think mentoring is important?
As a mom, I should be the by default mentor for my kids.
Okay, we're default mentors for our children. Okay, that's a nice one. Okay, what else? What else could be the use of a mentor? Why do you think it's important?
We can take it to the right direction for the...
To take you to the right direction, to show you or guide you. Okay, very nice, thank you.
Sometimes
To make them the future
you don't have the
mentor?
experience, so someone more experienced can guide you. to
Okay,
the right
yeah,
path.
absolutely. Someone who has been there, done that, has the experience, who can guide you through your path. Prakash, you said something.
Show the way.
To show the way, to show the way. There was, I think, another answer.
To make them the future mentor, actually?
To make them future mentors. Wow, okay, that's like building leaders that we hear. Okay, we build mentors, but that is a great point, because people who've undergone mentorship and realize the value then also become mentors at some point in time, because they know the value that it's added to their life. So that's a great point, thank you for that. I also want to show you some statistics that we have about mentoring and why this is so impactful, right? So it says 80% of the US Fortune 500 companies have a mentorship program in their organization. And about 100% of the US Fortune 50 companies, which means all the top 50 Fortune companies, have mentoring programs. There are other interesting statistics. So why do people want to be a mentor or a mentee? Because 87% also showed that mentees feel empowered by their mentoring relationships and have developed greater confidence. And I think we all have experienced that at some point, right? One more statistic, like some of us who are here, 76% of people think mentors are important, but only 37% have one. Yeah. So we all know it's important, but what is stopping us from finding a mentor? So let's hear that. Let's hear why are some of us hesitant? So what are those challenges that's difficult to find a mentor, Malvika?
Yeah, sometimes you connect with somebody who kind of is able to see what you want and guide you in the way that you want, maybe challenge.
Finding the right person. Okay, someone that I think will fit my
So
mentor.
particularly in a Toastmasters journey, so we will not make the mentor requirement, because if we are preparing for a speech, so mentor will be guiding us. Due to some personal priority, we will drop that one. So that hesitate will build the gap between us and mentor.
Okay. So I am feeling that the mentor may not have time for me, and I don't know if he has the time for me.
Whenever we have a time, mentor will be not mentor.
Okay, okay, all right, okay, Babaraj.
Yeah, I think a lot of time I think my experience, we look for a mentor in life. But my view is that it's not a mentor that you want, but let's say I have 4 areas of aspirations.
Absolutely.
I can have mentor A for that, B for this, C for this. So when I see multiple mentors are possible, then I see to go, I think this area I can use it. If I look for an ideal mentor who can go everywhere, you would have one.
Yeah, so that's a great point actually, right? Sometimes we feel there is just, I need to find one mentor. Not necessarily. I think some of us who've spent long years of experience in corporates or doing what we do, we also realize that you admire something or you look up to somebody for a certain thing. So you can't find all of those in one person, right? Absolutely not. But it's great to keep our eyes and ears open and see what is that one thing that I'm looking to be better at, and who's that person that I could find that can help me with it. So it does not have to be one person. Depending on what I want to do, there could be different people who could guide me. But there's also a slight difference between, so there are different terminologies, right? There's also an overlap between what is a mentor, what is a coach, and yeah, mostly a mentor and a coach. I think we kind of get mixed up with that. So I want to clarify that. Does anyone know what's the difference between a mentor and a coach? How is
mentor will be there for your long-term goals, and
okay?
he will be there with you to understand completely, like what are your past issues and past trauma, how
Okay.
you can unlock them and empower you completely.
Okay,
On
you're saying
that,
coach may not be a
coach,
long-term.
on the other hand, like he gives the instructions, you have to follow them. He may not sit beside you and understand completely, but
Okay.
somewhat in
Okay.
general.
Anything else? Anything else? Let's hear some more. Yes, please.
Coach imparts a skill to you, so you learn something from the coach. He tries
Okay.
to train you on something, while mentor asks you a lot of questions and tries to let you find your way or path or answers in the process.
Okay. Okay.
Coach, I
Someone
think
else.
that, they unlock your potential pretty fast. Whereas in
Which one?
coach
Okay.
and in mentor, like based on your need, they will guide based on their experience. They will guide you to move forward.
Okay. Okay. Anyone who's sure of the answer? Okay.
Mentor
Sanjay,
has
let him go, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
So I think we pay the coaches usually, it's a paid service.
Okay, that's a very clever answer, but
Yeah.
we don't pay.
It's a service.
Coaches we pay, mentors are free of cost. Okay, sorry, yeah, Sanjay.
As a coach, what he says, we should listen. As a mentor, what we say.
Okay, guys, it's getting very scary for me now.
That's why we need the training. I think mentor has some subject matter expertise. That's why it's a mentor.
Right.
And for me, coach is someone who follows up with you to achieve a goal. Basically, you're
Yeah.
trying to do some
Yeah.
project. He's there back of you to make sure you achieve that. He's not a subject matter expert.
Great. Can we give a round of applause to Sachin? That's like one right answer. You want to say something?
Maybe a coach is more tactical, while a mentor can provide more strategic, overall long-term.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of. So the difference between a mentor and a coach is not a subject matter expert. They don't know what you want, where to get, right? So they're not an expert in what they do. So and the whole term of coaching came from sport, right? From sports, from tennis and football, etc. They're not people who are the best in football or the best people in that sport, but they push the coachee to do better. Whereas a mentor is someone who's an expert in where you want to go. So that's the major difference, right? The coach is not an expert, but they can guide you, help you navigate that path. But a mentor is someone who's there already in the place that you want to be or has been there. So typically you have mentoring programs in corporates, like some of you may be aligned to mentors in a corporate, and there'll be 2 levels above you or 3 levels above you, like people who know how to help you to get to the role that you want to. So mentors are people who know your subject inside out. Coaches are people who are not experts but can help guide you. So that's the primary difference, and sometimes we get mixed up a little bit. I want to move on to the general definition of mentoring, right? So it's the act or process of helping and guiding another person to support in their personal development. I think a lot of us spoke about that. But I want to, for this discussion and for the next few minutes, I want to just focus on mentoring in Toastmasters. And this is what we do in Toastmasters. It's just an organized way of assigning an experienced Toastmaster to a new Toastmaster to guide them through the journey. It's a fairly long journey, right? So to tell you a little bit about myself, I joined Toastmasters in 2009. So that's a long journey. It's about 14 years now as a Toastmaster for me. And in my journey, I've had a lot of mentors. It's not that I knew what mentoring is and I had to go find mentors, but somebody spotted me and said, hey, can you take up a role here? Somebody said, hey, do you want to become an area governor? And all the time I was like, oh, I'm just 1 year in Toastmasters, I'm not ready. I think I need to be better, right? So, sounds familiar. But that's when you need that mentor. That's when you need someone who will nudge you and say, this is not a corporate role that you're taking, this is just for your own experience. So we all need that one person who will, push us a little bit. Because alone, there's only that far we can go. And I strongly believe that if you keep striving at something alone, you can only go that distance. But if you have an ecosystem, you have your personal board of directors, you have your mentors who push you because they can see what you're capable of, which you can't see for yourself. And that really goes a long way, and exactly the way that my journey has been in Toastmasters as well. Right? Because I was not ready for any role that I've done in the last years. I've taken, I don't know, 12, 13 leadership roles up to the district level. And if you ask me, were you ready for any one of them? I was never ready. But I know people who believed that I could do it and pushed me. And I may not have been the best, but I learned from it and I grew. And I think that is why I'm still here in Toastmasters. And that's the value that this whole organization brings to us. So, which means that if we are not in a mentoring relationship, then there's a lot we're losing. Another question is, how many of you feel that, that you can be a mentor? Okay, and the people who haven't raised your hand, why do you feel you can't be a mentor?
Maybe we are still thinking that we need to learn a lot to become a member, or to become a mentor.
So when do you think you will learn enough to be a mentor?
I don't know, it's a journey.
Yeah, exactly, right? I remember being in the audience in one of the Toastmaster conferences, and there was this world champion of public speaking, I don't remember which one, but he was saying that we are very hesitant to say we call ourselves consultants or experts. So he says, when do you actually, and a lot of people are resistant to that, right? Like we feel very awkward to say I'm an expert or I'm a consultant or I'm a specialist. But he says that if you know a little more than the people you are with, then you're an expert. So which is exactly my belief in mentoring, saying if I can guide somebody a little better than where they are, or I know what this path is like, I may not be the best at it, but I believe I can genuinely help them, then I can be a mentor. So I think every one of us can be a mentor. It doesn't matter in what aspect. All of us have those experiences that somebody else can gain out of. So don't wait for that you know, I'm going to be better someday and I'll start mentoring. Because there is also value that a mentor gets out of that relationship. So what could that be? What do you think the mentors gain? I know mentees have a long list. We get all of this. But what do you think the mentors gain out of this? And some of the mentors here can speak up.
Experience.
What experience? I already have experience. So what?
No, we have different kinds of mentees and.
Okay. Okay, just different perspectives because you're talking to different people.
When
okay.
you explain something, when you have done something, unless you are able to explain it to someone, you really not. I mean, as they say, when you teach, you learn. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
You learn more because you're also teaching. So okay, what else? What else?
Another thing is maybe in terms of giving it back to the society, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The satisfaction of giving back something that I know.
So I want to share my personal experience. So I was a mentor for one girl in a Toastmaster. So what I learned from her is she will keep the time slot from night 10 to 12 o'clock for Toastmaster. So we used to prepare for a speech in a random time whenever we get a time. But she said if you are not concentrated that much, then we can't achieve anything. So she will always the day she will read books or whatever the Toastmasters preparation is required. She will do it at night after having all the things, night 10 to 12. So that what discipline I learned from the mentee.
Okay, from the mentee. Okay,
Yeah.
so in essence you're saying that there are things that the mentors learn from the mentee
Yeah.
as well. Suresh, you had
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with him because my own experience as a mentor is that I've been able to question my assumptions, okay, and learn some new knowledge. So when I collaborate with younger people and people from different cultural backgrounds, it kind of helps me show some of those entrenched views which I have.
Yeah.
And in the process, my own development goes up several notches. I'm able to upskill myself, and I begin to learn how people tick, because that itself is a very deep kind of a thing. So I'm exploring that, and I must say that I'm enjoying it immensely.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Suresh mentors a lot of us. Not even as an official mentor. I think all of us just go to him by default. So I don't think he even has a number, because so that's the value that he provides, and that's the value that he gains as well. Like we rightly heard, that we learn while we are interacting with each of us. But there is a secret ingredient in a mentoring relationship. Guess what that is?
It's compatibility and trust.
Okay.
Because there's no question about it, because unless you need to have a very safe space to have an open dialogue. So the mentee's got hang-ups, or the mentor has hang-ups. It's not going to work. So everybody can't be a mentor or with a particular mentee. So
Absolutely,
we need to have that space.
absolutely, yeah. So there is this. While we need some guidance in Toastmasters, I know it can take you to another level if you have a mentor who's guiding you, who's been there, done that. But the secret ingredient that I was talking about is. Just to, I thought I gave it away with the with the panda there, but okay. Yeah, so who drives this whole thing is just us, right? It's up to us to go find somebody, reach out to them and say, hey, I need help, can you guide me for this many months, etc. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Traits of a good mentor. Let's hear this. What do you all think a good mentor is like? Now all the mentees will speak up. Start identifying yourself.
Friendly, approachable.
They have to be
Approachable,
available.
Okay?
Available.
Available. Okay, that is like the topmost criteria. The mentor available.
That's a good point.
Okay, good point.
He or she should empathize.
Good listener.
Should also empathize with the. Okay, what do you mean by that?
The mentor should be able to understand what exactly the mentee is wanting to learn.
Wants to learn. Okay, all right. Okay, anything else?
Good mentor hold their views rather than giving okay, do this, do that. They hold and they listen what the others needs.
We'll listen also. All right. So I'll just yeah, this one's on top, right? Is available within set expectations, guys. Not have until whatever time I call the mentor will be available. So we're saying within set expectations, listens actively, like he also said. Shares relevant knowledge, saying I know this and I'd like to share what I know, as well as helps set and monitor goals. This one's a big one. I'll be talking about this in a little bit. We'll also help you set those goals and also help you with how you go about those goals. Gives guidance, not directives, right? Like this is what you have to do, but will guide you, because each one of us have our own way of doing things. So there's no one way that works for everybody. But the mentor can guide you on, try this, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, and provides constructive feedback. Right? So this I think is part of all of it. Now, yeah, there's one more thing. Models respect and is non-judgmental. This is also something that is intrinsic. It comes without saying that there is respect for each other in the mentoring relationship and also non-judgmental. Okay, let's hear this now. What are the traits of a good mentee? Have you ever thought of that? I have so many things to tell about the mentor, but what should I be as a mentor?
Committed for self-commitment.
Commitment. Sorry. Good listener. Okay. Listen to the mentor also sometimes. Okay.
Taking the feedback in a positive manner.
Taking feedback, okay, in a positive manner, very nice. So if the mentor is saying something, so can I, take that positively? What else?
To be clear about their app.
To be clear about what I want in the mentoring
If you are a
relationship.
mentee, you want to be very clear.
Okay. Yeah, that one's a good one, and it's also very difficult to define that. What do I want, right? Okay.
Take action.
Take action, yeah, absolutely, right? So if the mentor is telling you something and you are listening to them very nicely and then go and do nothing, what are we doing? Okay, so eagerness to learn, saying that I am interested and showing that to the mentor, because it's on both sides, right? The level of interest that is maintained. Seriousness in the relationship, sets clear goal with the mentor's support, and takes the initiative in the relationship. Now this is often debated, saying whose responsibility is that mentoring relationship? Whose responsibility do you think it is?
Mentee.
Yeah, it's absolutely the mentees. So no matter how difficult it is to reach out to the mentor, don't give up. We've called them 10 times, call them one more time. And so persist, because it is for you to gain, and the mentor is making that space for us. So it's our responsibility to make sure that the relationship works as well. So it's the initiative from the mentee. flexibility and an understanding of the mentor's demanding schedule, the availability, right? So please give them some leeway, saying, hey, let's set this up. But also prepares for the conversation. So it's not like I go unprepared for that conversation, or I have to meet my mentor and I have no agenda. That's not going to serve anybody's purpose, right? So have something in mind when you have that meeting with your mentor, saying, I want to discuss this, and tell them that today's, whatever 30 minutes, 1 hour we have, I'd like to discuss this particular thing that I'm struggling with, or whatever it is. Yeah, so these are some points. There's also this bit, which is something that I put together for how do I make the mentoring relationship work well. And I'm saying, how do we bridge the gap where G stands for goal, A for agreement, and P for performance. Now I've put this together based on my own experience of how these things work, right? So the first thing that I feel is generally the mentee or the mentor is not sure about what is the goal of this relationship. Okay, someone in the club, the VP Education, has assigned me a mentee, and I have a conversation, and most of the time, I don't know if the conversation happens, the first thing we get is a speech. Saying, you're my mentor, so can you please review my speech? And I'm like, what speech? Why speech? Like, why are you here in Toastmasters? Like, what do you want to even do? So that conversation itself doesn't happen, so it's not going to help either of us. So first of all, we as a mentee, let's think about, why did I join Toastmasters? What is that one skill that I want to develop or get better at? So get that clarity for ourselves, and what are those specific things that I want to be better at, right? And all of us have those things, and that's why we are here. So if you are able to articulate that to the mentor, then the mentor will find it easier to guide you, and also make sure you get those opportunities. And will also nudge you, saying, hey, if you have trouble speaking in a group of 3-4 people, or if you're uncomfortable, why don't you take up a timer role? Why don't you take up an counter? So they'll kind of nudge you to take up those roles in the club so that you get more comfortable. But if they don't know, then they can't help us much either. Okay, is that fair? So having our own goal clarity and asking these 3 questions and going to the mentor saying, this is what I want to do, this is why I've joined Toastmasters, now can you help me? Yeah, so it'll help both. The second bit is, how do you set goal? I think a lot of you would be familiar with what is a SMART goal. I have some examples of what your goals could be like. I want to complete level 1 of pathways by 31st December 2023 by giving at least 1 speech a month. Very specific. I want to develop better collaboration and influencing skills at work, maybe by taking up leadership roles in the club. So I want to take up, like, be part of the XCOM. Another one of the goals could be I want to be more confident while speaking to a group by taking up roles in the club meeting at least twice a month. So these are some specific goals that you can set for yourself with your mentors. So you will have that clarity, and don't make this very big, right? It can be a simple goal that you'll say, I want to achieve this in the next 2 months. The next 1 month, I want to just focus on this part of my development. Because in Toastmasters, it's like an ocean. There is a lot of things that you can get, but it can get also overwhelming at times. So just focus on one small thing at a time. Say, I just want to get really good at being a timer. Like, how do I make those 1-minute speeches as a timer really crisp and interesting? Or I find it very difficult to introduce humor in my talk. So how can I do that? Let me try just that bit. In whichever role I play, let me see if I can bring in a little humor. So whatever is that small aspect, put that up as your goal, and then move to the next one. So don't think of having no goal also is overwhelming. Having too many goals also is overwhelming. So just take it one small thing at a time. This is a long journey. It's going to take all of us really long, and it's continuous. We'll never get there, but yeah, so we just move on. The second one, this again is important because I feel this is something that doesn't happen. Okay, so 5 minutes more? Okay.
Yeah, you take 10 minutes.
Alright, thank you for that, timer and VP Education. Okay, so the agreement bit is a little important because I feel that sometimes, and I have faced this as well, right? You are assigned, by default you're assigned a mentor in the club. Now, the VP Education team is doing due diligence in finding an appropriate person who's available, who's not already having too many mentees, etc. Trying to balance that and assigns you with somebody. Now then you feel somehow that, okay, I have been forced to take this mentor. But what do I do then? Do I have a set agreement with the mentor saying that I want to have this mentoring relationship for, let's say, 3 months or 6 months. So have a period of time and then say, in this, every month, I want us to connect 1 hour once a week or 1 hour twice, or once in 2 weeks, if possible. Would that work for you? So it has to work for both of them, right? And I think a lot of frustration comes from here because we've not set up this agreement with the mentor. Because we randomly call the mentor, suddenly 3 months no news, suddenly there's one speech in your mailbox and you get a WhatsApp message saying, can you? So it's not smooth, right? For both of them. And the mentee also is awkward, right? I haven't reached out to my mentor in 4 months, now suddenly is it okay to go to him? Yeah, so we also feel awkward. So the first connect, as soon as you know this is the mentor, pick up your phone, call the person and say, hey, let's set this up. So which are the days that you're available? What is the time that works for you? Is it okay if we connect twice in a month? Which day and what time? And for how long? Because then again, after 6 months, after 8 months, maybe the mentor doesn't have time or maybe the mentee needs somebody else. Then that again becomes a very awkward discussion, saying now, it doesn't seem nice to say I don't want this mentor. I want somebody else, like how do I say that? And maybe the mentor also feels that because maybe genuinely they don't have the time for it, but they also feel how can I go back to the VP education and say I can't help, right? That's also awkward.
On the same line, so you said at Toastmasters, let's say talk when we assign a mentor, we make a change and create the change as a tactic. I don't think that I was like if they are a mentor for life.
Yes. Yeah, so Sajan and the VP education team are also working on, Agustino is also part of that project, but they're working on how do we make this whole mentoring thing better. And honestly, we've tried a lot of different things in the past with Talk Magic. And some clubs do this extremely well. We've also tried a few things, but I guess we've still not found the best. But it's good to try different things. So we're also thinking that maybe we'll relook at that, get some feedback, give some recognition for mentors. So there's a lot we can do so that it becomes a more established kind of practice within the club. And that'll help us all move forward a little better than we are currently. So yeah, so this is my request that the minute you know, even if it's already a mentor that is existing for you, take some time up, have that conversation, saying, hey, let's fix this time. And then both of us will commit to that because we've both agreed. So then the mentor also doesn't feel overwhelmed. The mentee is also available. Make sure they are there for that meeting. Yeah, and then of course we talked about setting the goal. Then you discuss the goal as well when you speak. And the last one is of course what some of you all said about what should the mentee do. Apply what you learn and go back to the mentor and say, hey, I have tried this and this is how I felt. And that's how every other conversation, the second conversation, third conversation, saying we discussed this last time, did you try that in the club? Did you try that in the speech? Did you sign up for that speech contest? Did you do it? And how did you feel about it? And that conversation will mean a lot. And then you speak about the next thing. So then it makes more sense, right? Because the mentor also knows what you want. Mentee also knows what the mentor can help with. And the mentors can also suggest other people. There are people that I have said, hey, go to this person because that person is really good at this. You should talk to them if you want to figure out how. And Toastmasters is huge. It's not just limited to the club. A lot of us know people from other clubs who've won division level, district level contests. And we can also put you across to people. So there's a lot of advantage in just getting into this whole habit. And of course, taking this into your work is again a big thing, right? Work similarly, even at a workplace. You can reach out to anyone senior, and I don't think anyone is going to say that, oh, I can't be a mentor. They figure out some way to help you. So yeah, so that is the gap, the goal, agreement, and the performance bit. And that's pretty much what I had. So if you only do what you can do, you'll never be more than you are now. So that's why we need mentoring as well. So if there are 1 or 2 questions, I think I've exceeded by like 6 minutes, but any 1 or 2 questions that you all have or any comments, I know a lot of you all have been mentors for a lot of people as well. Anything that you feel, okay, I don't know how to crack this, or this is something that bothers me.
I think one big challenge, okay, it's again becoming a case of robot, but mentees need to be encouraged to follow up with the mentor. Follow up with the mentor.
Follow up, yes.
Yes. Need to be encouraged and need to be, because as one of also mentioned they are already always thinking what is going to happen if I get, I'm not intruding into that mentor's time or something like that.
Yeah.
That is the inner dialogue which.
That's the assumption.
That is
Yeah.
But if you look at it from the mentor's side, I mean, why should a mentor, if mentor might be having so many mentors, why would he? So it is, we have to understand as mentees that it is our goal, it is our purpose. There is no harm, just go ahead. If the mentor is not available, the person will respond after some time. So
Yeah, it's yes,
Like in a postmaster, like we know that communication skill will improve and mentor will help the speech or to evaluation or anything like that. It is very easy to connect, like how can you judge me, how can you give me feedback. But when it comes to the leadership, let's say I want to hone my leadership skill to the next level. Now, what is the measurable goal I can go discuss with my mentor, like this I want to improve my skills, leadership skills. Now, what kind of goal I can set, like, I'm not pretty clear, like, when I approach in terms of...
You're talking Toastmasters only, right? You're talking
yeah,
Toastmasters.
I'm talking about Toastmaster. How can I get support and measurable in terms of measurable goal?
Yeah, for leadership skills also it's the same thing, right? So the whole, this dual track that we have in Toastmasters is improving communication and leadership. And the only way you take up or hone your leadership skills is by taking up roles in the club. So not just the meeting, because even the meeting roles needs some bit of leadership skills, right? Listening skills, etc. So all these roles that you're taking as an accountant, grammarian, as a timer, as an evaluator, are all skills that are linked to leadership skills, right? So being an evaluator is how do you give feedback effectively in a constructive manner without demotivating the person. So it's a skill. So those are things that you can do. So for example, you can say that I want to take up X number of roles in the next 2 months in the club. Simple. It can be any one of those supporting roles. So that could be a goal. Or it could be that maybe next year I want to take up a role in the executive committee. I want to take up a sergeant at arms role for 6 months in the club. That's a leadership. That's a goal as well.
Just one follow-up question. Let's say I took some executive committee role, and after 6 months I want to judge myself whether how much I have improved as a leadership. When I approach my mentor, like, mentor, Mr. Mentor, can you please help me, like how much I have improved as a leadership? So how can, like, he can give me or I can give him the feedback, like, okay, these are the...
Of course he can give you feedback if he's observed you, right? Now feedback is a big one.
Yeah.
I would think that here's one of my see, leadership is a bait. You're if you are the beneficiary in that. You may not think about how do I dissect that. What are those key elements as a leadership? You can't do everything in 2 months. So among that, when you dissect it, you figure out this is the highest priority, few things that I want to focus on. Is that it? And for this, what role can have, which role more people they can do? Is it XCOM role, is it some other role? That's one of the probably I could think.
Got it.
Yeah. And a big thing about it is feedback, right? And the more feedback we receive, the better it is for us. It's a very uncomfortable situation for us to take feedback in. With speeches, but just over a period of time, when you repeatedly do something, right? Just like, you become a good sportsman or a musician or an artist, right? So it's just those what do you say? Those neurons. You're building your neural pathways when you repeatedly do something, and that's when it becomes muscle memory, right? So a lot of things that I've observed that I have picked up, which I think are leadership skills, is because I've continuously been in Toastmasters doing this. For example, I don't have to check the time, but I can give a speech evaluation and I know when to stop. Because I've done it so many times that I know my mind knows when it's 2 to 3 minutes. And I know when I've exceeded time, even without the timer telling me. That's because I've done it so many times, right? So like that, there are little things that you pick up. Even body language for example. Because initially you'll be very conscious, am I making eye contact, am I using the right gestures, am I looking at everybody in the group? But then over a period of time, you know that you're doing it. And that's what is again a leadership skill for me. So a lot of these little things. But getting feedback from not just your mentor, but anybody. But telling them in prior saying, hey, I'm giving a speech today, can you just observe my body language and tell me what I can do better? Ask any random person here. Tell them before you give a speech. They will observe and tell you. But after the speech is over, if you go and say, hey, can you give me feedback, how was my speech? I'm like, okay, about what? I didn't even observe. So it's a great thing, and this is the platform where you can constantly ask people for feedback on anything that you do. So those are the skills.
So one thing that I observed since I was VP, so obviously when a member joins Toastmaster as the VP, it is our duty to assign them a mentor. But many a times we find that there is some compatibility issue, or and then generally tend to go to other people and try to get mentorship from elsewhere. And all. So like how good it is to change your mentors if you feel like someone is not working out, or is it advisable to give them a mentor sole, or should we let them mingle and see who they want and then let them decide for themselves in that sense?
Yeah, it's a little tricky. See, officially, if the club is assigning you a mentor also, it doesn't stop you from going and reaching out to somebody else. Like if I need something for my speech, I'll just go to anybody, right? And say, hey, can you have like 2-3 discussions with me just to get this part of my speech right? So my recommendation is that if the club has assigned you a mentor, then have a conversation, make sure your goal, agreement, everything is in place, and if it still doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, that's okay. But that's why I said that agreement is important, because let's try this for a month, let's try it for 2 months. And if we feel that, okay, there's something else that I need, I go to somebody else, and we can inform the VP education team and
I mean, a lot
they can
of them are
change it.
hesitant because they feel like the mentor will get offended, or it's like it's not in good faith or something of that sort.
Yeah, it is. It's not straightforward, and we also have to close this discussion. so I hope that gave you some idea at least how do I have those conversations with my mentor. What are the things that I should speak about, and am I clear what I want out of the mentoring relationship before I decide that my mentor doesn't have time, or should I reach out, should I not reach out? But there is definitely value for both parties, the mentor and the mentee, and it's a journey. And sometimes if it doesn't work well, go to the VP education team and say, hey, can you help me? I'm struggling with this, and I'm sure we can do something about it. Yeah. All right, and I'm looking forward to what Agustin and Sajjan are also putting together. So it'll make this journey a little more interesting for us as well. Okay, thank you for your time and patience.